one of the ladies that was killed was my seatmate on the plane.
She saw bullets flying past her in the Fort Lauderdale airport. Tonight, she describes the attack as we learned some of the victims were from Central Ohio. Guns in airports, a discussion about changing federal rules and reaction from gun rights activists.
And it's a bitterly cold night in Central Ohio coming up. I'll time out the morning temperatures so you can plan your Sunday.
But 10 TV News at 11 starts with breaking news. One person is dead after a shooting in East Columbus. This one happened about an hour and a half ago on the 1200 block of Simpson Drive. Police tell us someone drove by and then opened fire. At this point, police do not have any suspects. Of course, we'll keep you posted on air and online as we learn more. Also new tonight, the United States seeking the death penalty against this man here, 26-year-old Esteban Santiago. He's accused of killing 5 people and injuring 6 others yesterday at an airport in Fort Lauderdale. And tonight, word of that, one of those killed and one of those injured are from Central Ohio. Thanks so much for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Evan Anderson. We'll hear from Megan Matthews on that part of the story in just a moment. But first tonight, here's what we're learning about the suspected attacker. Federal prosecutors have filed charges against Santiago of an act of violence at an international airport. The punishment is execution or any prison sentence up to life. Prosecutors also charged Santiago with 2 firearms offenses. Tonight, Santiago is being held without bond. For stories of survival, we go to Craig Boswell. He's in Fort Lauderdale with tonight's top story.
The first bags arrived at Terminal 2 baggage claim since the deadly shooting inside Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. Black curtains blocked arriving passengers from entering restricted areas that were still being cleaned.
It's kind of scary. You're looking around. No nice feeling.
Steve Frappier came face to face with the alleged shooter, 26-year-old Esteban Santiago. Frappier says he felt a pinch in his back, but he didn't realize until later that a bullet had pierced his Apple computer.
It was the laptop, the plastic casing, and the type of backpack that I had. The best thank you gift I ever got in my life.
Police say the Army veteran used a 9mm semi-automatic gun from his checked luggage to shoot passengers. Charging documents show Santiago confessed to planning the attack specifically at this airport. He believes he fired 15 rounds before being arrested. 5 people were killed, including Olga Waltering. Her family says she was celebrating her husband's 90th birthday. Another victim, 62-year-old Terry Andre, was a 12-year volunteer firefighter. Long lines snaked around the airport as airlines cleared the backlog of travelers.
I'm just want to go home to Canada.
Federal investigators say Santiago was not on the no-fly list, but they still don't know why he picked this airport to carry out the mass shooting. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
And CBS News says Santiago had received an unsatisfactory performance evaluation and discharged from the National Guard last year. He'll appear in federal court on Monday. We've learned tonight an Ohio couple is among the victims of the Fort Lauderdale attack. 10 TV's Megan Matthews joins us now live with new information about them. Megan.
Well, Evan, Shirley and Steve Timmons of Senecaville, Ohio, are 2 of the victims. Now, this is according to the Miami Herald out of Florida. The newspaper says Shirley Timmons died at the airport and her husband Steve was shot and taken to the hospital. He is critically injured. A family spokesman told the paper the couple were on their way to a family cruise leaving from Fort Lauderdale. On social media, family members say Steve and Shirley Timmons were both 70 years old. The AP reports a Cambridge local newspaper, the Daily Jeffersonian, says the Timmons would have celebrated a 51st wedding anniversary later on this month. Now, we did reach out to family members this evening, but have not heard anything back yet. Evan?
Megan, thank you. A grandmother says she was getting her baggage when bullets started flying. Look at this.
Flying all around us.
She's from Wisconsin, and she was on her way to a vacation. She says she was sitting on the plane next to one of the people who was killed.
And she was standing right next to me.
In the baggage claim.
In the baggage claim. I gave her a gift. She turned around. I turned around to zip mine, and the pop started. We hit the ground. I turned around, and she was shot.
And that woman that was speaking says her husband was with her. He was not hurt during the attack. For the most part, flights are continuing as planned at John Glenn Columbus International Airport, but one flight to Fort Lauderdale was canceled and another one was delayed. Many still managed to catch a flight there. We spoke with one family of 7 kids.
4 of them, it's their first time ever on an airplane, so there's a lot of other things to talk about.
It just shows you it can happen anywhere. It's the reality of how things are today.
One passenger told 10 TV he's not worried about traveling to Fort Lauderdale. In fact, he says it's probably the safest airport in the country tonight. There is a new debate tonight about guns in airports. As we've reported, investigators say Santiago transported his gun in his checked luggage. Federal rules do allow this. Lawmakers like Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz wants to talk about changing that. Here's the Congresswoman on CNN earlier today.
Not only the question of whether or not you should be allowed to check a firearm when you travel at all, rather than ship it or transport it in some other way, but we need to more minutely examine the question of, if you are going to continue to allow that, in what way are we going to reunite you with your firearm?
On the other hand, gun rights advocates defend federal laws. They argue the suspect's actions do not represent the majority of gun owners who travel with their weapons. We expect to learn more about the laws, the suspects, and the victims in the coming days. As we gather more information, stay with 10 TV, both on air and online, and on our 10 TV News app.